What's a sad truth you've come to accept? Serious. Love can destroy your life just as much as it can brighten your life. You can go from waking up to the love of your life to waking up to the despair that they're gone. My last relationship of almost 7 years ended just over a year ago and I'm still not okay with it. She was honestly the best thing that happened to me and I'm not sure how to live my life without her. Everything reminds me of her. I am who I am because of my time with her. Knowing what I've lost and that my future no longer includes her hurts. The life you led with her will stand in contrast to the life you lead alone. With time, you'll gain new insights about both. I was with my ex for 8 years. She was the best thing that had ever happened to me, a clean, positive person who grew up with a family that could have come out of a Norman Rockwell painting. I became closer to her parents than my own. Her friends were my friends. Her dreams were my dreams. Then, one day, none of those things were true anymore. The first 2 years felt like a struggle to avoid looking down and becoming overwhelmed by the enormity of the loss. I spent a lot of time focusing on my career because goals were the only thing I had to keep feelings of isolation and grief at bay. But then, as time went on, I suddenly found myself looking at the relationship with a fresh set of eyes. The longer I lived alone, the more clear the distinctions between then and now became, and I could see things that had just never occurred to me before. If I'd stayed with her, I never would have enjoyed any sort of professional success. I never could have built a life I'd be proud of. I'd have spent the remainder of my life a bystander in my own story, following the lead of a person who had never sacrificed anything for me. In retrospect, ending that relationship is probably the best decision I've ever made. My point is this: you can't know how you're going to feel about things 1 to 5 years out. You're going to grieve, but don't fall into the trap of thinking you'll be grieving forever. This is a brilliant response. Thank you, I know I'll be okay eventually, and I am getting better about it little by little. It just hits hard sometimes when there's something I'd normally share with her and I realize that I can't do that anymore. I'm so glad that you've been able to move on and make such progress in your life since your ex. You can't help someone who doesn't want to be helped. And a corollary of this, you can deeply love and care for someone and still be furious with their actions and unable to help them. You can also deeply care and love someone and need to cut them out of your life. You can love someone, but not like them. This is it. Especially with family. Like, I can't fix all your problems for you. You got to create a better version of yourself. Dealing with this with my sister right now. These were almost my exact words to her. I love you, but I'm not going to let you make your problems mine. My mama always said you can't work harder on someone than they're willing to work on themselves. Also, drink lots of water. Someone said on here once, don't light yourself on fire to keep someone else warm. My mama also said if you build a man a fire, he'll stay warm for a day. But if you light him on fire, then he'll stay warm for the rest of his life. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink it. Alternatively, you can lead a person to facts, but you can't make them think. You can't logic someone out of a position they didn't logic themselves into. Life is unfair sometimes for no reason. You can do everything right and still lose. I have stage 3 cancer. I never drank, smoked, did drugs, ate healthy foods, exercised every day, was always a very clean living person, and here I am. I'm very sorry for you. That must feel so unjust. I really hope it all turns out well. Thank you, it does, but then I have to remind myself that cancer is very unjust and there are children who have it in their bones. Why? It's super effed up all around. My cousin has had cancer for around 4 years now. She has had it in her lungs and brain. The worst thing is that she has had it since she was 6 years old. Too many people suffer from stuff they had no part in and don't deserve. My partner had lung cancer that spread to his brain. I thought we'd get 2 to 3 years, then they found a blood clot on his lung. He was gone a week after that. 2 weeks ago today. Same here pretty much. Grandmother near my mother figure had some ovarian cysts and a smoker's cough. They played bingo at a smoker's bar every night for 8+ years. Thought it was just COVID recovery cough. Cysts turned into lesions into stage 4 metastatic cancer in 2 weeks. She had a collapsed lung due to lung cancer, and brain cancer, and the reproductive system had cancer all over. Within 2 weeks she went from awake and on some oxygen to life support, pulled and dead in my arms. I have never been so upset in my life. If I could give every cosmic karmic good thing back to get her back, I would. 64 years old. Her parents were Holocaust survivors. She was tough and an angel of a lady. Dude, I'm sorry. Yep, life can just straight up F you over. I'm sorry, you are having to deal with that she. I'm sorry you are in this situation. And I hope you are getting all the care you need. There's that Picard line, it is possible to commit no mistakes and still lose. That is not a weakness. That is life. That line just breaks me, because it's so true and it's universal, and yet it's still so hard to accept. Realizing this has helped my self-esteem a lot, tbh. Now when something bad happens, I just remind myself that it doesn't mean that I deserved it. It just means it happened. Truly understanding and embracing this fact is actually incredibly liberating. I totally get this now at 30 years old. I was about 25 when I was gifted this knowledge by a big dude named Melvin. Was in my company's layout department and saw me at the pub after work with a novelty-sized chip on my shoulder. Don't know how the hell he got through to me, but he did. I'm 47 now, and the deep understanding of the lack of fairness in the world at all levels allowed me to make it through many trials in life relatively unscathed in the long term. The biggest pieces of she will usually get away with it. Had a roommate when I was just starting out who was like this. Didn't know what a scumbag he was at the time. After he stole from, vandalized, and scammed me out of rent, I finally was able to get out of that situation. Turns out the dude, 25 at the time, was effing a 14-year-old girl in the place we rented. Found out he had a history of DUI with a fatality, attempted murder, theft, and assault on a police officer, just to name a few. Since then I've been keeping tabs on his adventures. He's racked up falsifying gov documents, the sale of drugs, endangering children, and so much more. The guy has barely seen the inside of a jail cell and lives off of government assistance. So not only does he get away with she, the government gives him a effing free ride on top of it. To answer some of the questions people are asking. Yes, he got away with some awful she because he testified against his, equally shady, father for embezzling a shit-ton of money. However, that was before I ever even met him. How he continues to not get any jail time is beyond me. He was already on probation when the young girl he SSA'd came forward. He went into hiding, police did a manhunt for him, and yet he got a tiny prison sentence followed by more probation. Evil wears the prettiest smile. He had us all fooled, was honest and upfront about some trouble in his last, that was partially his ex's fault, but left the little detail about how he stabbed her. We use this man as the metric for measuring evil. If there are demons that walk this earth, he is one of them. Dude, what? Lol, you said scumbag and had me thinking this dude didn't pay rent or something. This man is literally a psycho killer rapist. That is wild. How long were your roommates? How did that even happen in the first place? Apparently, no one ever told him he's not supposed to collect $200 when he passes go on the way to jail. Being a good person doesn't often pay. And that's a sad truth if it. There's no such thing as karma. Bad things can happen to good people and good things can happen to bad people without reason. Just because someone is family doesn't mean they have your best interest in heart. Family doesn't always mean blood. And blood doesn't always mean family. Yup, generational trauma and projection have entered the chat. Getting older, rusty, and no longer able to do things I could when I was younger due to aging. Man, I feel that one. I've always stayed young mentally, but time has caught up with me. There is an old man in the mirror and I have to accept that and adjust my behavior so I don't look like a fool around younger people. Adjust my behavior so I don't look like a fool around younger people. How am I supposed to act my age? I've never been this old before. It's hard realizing that you're an adult now. I'm effing 50 years old and I still have trouble with the adult classification. But as I learned when I passed through casino security last year without having to show ID, the grays give me away and it's real, it's bullsh, but I'm getting old for real. One of the biggest causes of my future anxiety. Even at 25, I'm already noticing my body starting to not heal as quickly. Things that used to take a week to heal now take like 3. Friendships are like plants that have to be watered in order to stay alive. Sometimes we forget to water the plant or choose not to frown. Or despite your watering, they decide to wither away regardless. For real? My whole adult life I've always been the one putting in all the effort to maintain a friendship. It makes me constantly wonder if people just don't want to be around me. Over the years I've let so many friends go because I'm just effing sick and tired of being the one to ask other people to hang out. It would be nice if someone actually sought me out. It'd be nice for once to get a text, "Hey, wanna go do underscore?" instead of being the only one sending the text. I'm 33 and that's my experience too. I'm always the one doing the watering in my friendships. Something that helps me lately is trying to think of friendship maintenance as a skill that not everyone has. It's work and frankly, most people don't want extra work. For me, it's easier to think of someone as a little lazy versus intentionally excluding me.
Consider subscribing if you enjoyed this video and if you want to see more of Reddit Universe.